What's up everyone, Color Session. Welcome back to another fantasy booking video. And today we'll be fantasy booking the debut episode of AEW Collision. And of course I had to wear this shirt if I'm going to be talking about AEW and fantasy booking Collision. I really enjoyed the fantasy booking, the Money in the Bank card. I want to do more videos like this. I enjoy doing videos like this, doing like 2K stuff. It's kind of a bit boring. I don't really enjoy making that. I'm like I'd rather do something like this. I would probably do some stuff on AEW Fight Forever if that is a good game, if I enjoy it and stuff, and I want to make videos on that. But yeah, I want to start incorporating more videos like this onto my channel. So yeah, I'm going to try and do more fantasy booking videos. Of course, I did Money in the Bank last week. And I was like, what else could I do? And then it's like, oh, I'm going all in like I am to Money in the Bank. Maybe I could do that. And it's like, oh, actually, wait, before that, Forbidden Door. And then, like last year, I did a 10-3 matches I'd like to see at Forbidden Door. So maybe I could fantasy book that again. Then there's like a Collision. We have another big show coming up before even Forbidden Door. So yeah, you can probably expect fantasy booking for those shows. I also had another WWE fantasy booking that involves Money in the Bank. I don't want to really spoil that, but I was going to do that this week. I was going to record that like this weekend today, because it kind of involves something that happened on Raw and teased on Raw, and it's something I did mention in my Money in the Bank fantasy booking, but I decided to go with AEW Collision because I seen this morning that Tony Khan will be making another announcement regarding Collision tonight, so I wanted to get this out of the way just in case he ends up doing something and announcing something that completely changes things, how this fantasy booking would go. But yeah, so I'll probably do that Money in the Bank WWE1 next week. It involves someone winning and how I'd have them their run go as Money in the Bank, because I know I did the card, but I'm gonna fantasy book a run as someone winning Money in the Bank. And then probably after that, maybe I'll also do Forbidden Door. I will be doing it all in prediction, fantasy booking. And yeah, if I get any other good ideas, I'll be doing that. So expect more fantasy booking videos. So let's not waste time. I've already 2 minutes in. Let's get into how I would fantasy book AEW Collision, the debut episode from Chicago, Illinois. So the show will open. Commentary team. I'm not really sure who that'll be. Could be the commentary team they have. Maybe it's a completely new team. I don't know. They welcome us to Collision, and we get wide shots of the arena, similar to how Rampage the first dance went. And maybe just like then the crowd, they're on into it. They're clued up. They know what's happening, and they start chanting CM Punk, CM Punk. And just like that episode of Rampage, I wouldn't announce CM Punk beforehand. I just play into the rumors and the speculation and go off of that and not announce it beforehand. Then all of a sudden, cult of personality hits in, the old static knives, and out walks CM Punk in Chicago once again. He's back, the voice of the voiceless. He's here and he's in his hometown. Punk cuts a great promo on the mic, passionate, saying, "I've made a few mistakes, but I'm back to right my wrongs. I'm back to show why once again I am the best in the world." And then Samoa Joe's music hits, and out comes Joe to interrupt Punk, and Joe gets in Punk's face. And Punk, he kind of laughs to see Punk. He's like, "You're calling yourself the best in the world? Well, you've never beaten me. Every time we've had a match one-on-one, I've walked out with my hand raised. So if you're the best in the world, what does that make me?" And they continue to go back and forth, cutting a promo against each other. And they get into a brawl. CM Punk gets Joe up on his shoulders for a GTS. Joe slips out the back, locks in the coquina clutch, and chokes out CM Punk in the middle of the ring in Chicago on his return to AEW. CM Punk gets choked out by Samoa Joe. And the reason I've gone for Samoa Joe is because it is kind of what's been rumoured for CM Punk. I know a Punk and Joe match has been going around rumoured. and it is what I would like to see. It is something I'd like to see. So I'm kind of going off that, but yeah, it is kind of fantasy booking. But I know I did kind of play off a bit of rumor and speculation here because I would like to see it. So yeah, and I have kind of looked at the Collision posters and look at who's being advertised for those shows. And I've tried to work as many of them in as possible. Just because yeah, I feel like if they're being advertised, they're going to be there. So I know I know it's fantasy booking, but I do want to kind of play into what's already been put out there. And yeah, I've kind of done what I would do with those as well. But yeah, there's some like matches that are just completely I would like to see as well. Then for the first match on Collision, I would have Orange Cassidy defend the International Championship against a returning Scorpio Sky. Orange has had a fantastic run so far, and I think his matches have been great. He's opened up Dynamite a lot as well, so I feel like having him be the first match and having that title run be a big title match, in his first or as the first match in Collision would be big. Yeah, and I feel like having him defend the belt against Scorpio Sky, would be a good person you could put him up against, and returning Scorpio Sky. He is in the adverts for Collision, and he is someone I'd like to see get featured more. I think Sky would be a good person you could put up against Orange. You could play up the fact that he's a two-time TNT champion. He's half of the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. He has that championship pedigree. He could be presented as a serious threat to Orange and his reign. Of course, I'd have Orange Cassidy retain here. But again, if you build up Sky and on commentary and saying, he has done these and build him up as an actual threat, I don't think having him lose would really harm him. So yeah, I'd have Orange Cassidy get the win over Scorpio Sky, and then after the match, I would have Andrade El Idolo come out to confront Orange Cassidy and set up a potential international championship match there between Andrade and Orange. I wasn't originally going to go with Andrade for this, but I feel like it'd be okay for Scorpio to take a loss more than it would be for Andrade. Again, as I mentioned, you can build up Sky's history in AEW. He is a former two-time TNT champ. He is a former tag team champ. I feel like him taking a loss here in kind of like a match that hasn't really been built up, kind of just like how Orange Cassidy's defense have been, where like someone wants a challenge, he accepts it. So I feel like having him just lose here wouldn't be too bad. But for Andrade, I feel like either Andrade loses or wins, you'd have to build it up either way and kind of build it up to the match. I feel like just having Andrade come out and have a match with Orange and lose would slightly harm him, but I also wouldn't just have him win and take the belt without a bit of a build either, because of how Orange Cassidy's reign has gone. So that's why I've gone and set up that match rather than actually going with that match. I then have a pre-tape segment with Miro, similar to the ones that he's done as the Redeemer when he was God's favorite champion. Because I really enjoyed that presentation and that style of promo and work that they were doing with Miro. So I'd like to see them kind of go back and kind of do more of that stuff with him. I'm basically just warning the whole roster to stay out of his way, because he will run through anybody that tries to stop him. So yeah, as you can tell, I did kind of try build this like a TV show, like, and have pre-tapes and backstage segments, not just match, like I did for Money in the Bank. Because Money in the Bank, it is a premium event. It is going to be mostly matches and not really, because like backstage stuff to build to stuff. Whereas this is, a weekly TV show, you are going to get some of that stuff. So I did try my best to book some of that stuff in as well. Then I would have Swerve versus Keith Lee is what I would do next. We've kind of been wanting AEW to do this match for a while. Kind of thought we might have it at Revolution. It didn't. Thought we might get it at Double or Nothing. We didn't. We got it in the Battle Royal instead. So yeah, I feel like Collision and the first episode of Collision is a good place. You could do this. You could heavily promote this as like one of the big feature matches of this new show. It is a match people have been wanting to see for a while. So, you have a built-in story. You have a story with a bit of heat behind it. you have a match that people have been wanting to see. So it could be a good way of getting eyes onto this new show and this new at this like new product that is Collision. So yeah, it's kind of why I've gone for this match. You know, it is a big featured match that you've been building and people want to see. And of course, I'd have Swerve go over in this match with help from, maybe you can have the Mogul Embassy get involved and help Swerve get the win. I feel like after Double or Nothing and the performance Swerve had in the Battle Royal, especially when it came down to him and Orange Cassidy, I feel like he's ready to move on. And he is something that I could feel like I won't be against him beating Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. I won't be against him getting a run as TNT Champion. So yeah, I'd give Swerve the win here and kind of build him up so we can maybe see and you know kind of blow off this Swerve and Keith Lee feud, move on to something else with both guys, and you know it's a big featured match that you can use to bring eyes to Collision. Then I'd have MJF cut a promo. You know, he's on the posters, so I want to get involved, and he is your world champion. So I feel like if you're having a new show, getting your world champion out there is a good thing. You know, you get eyes on your champion, you get eyes on the product as well because he's the world champion. You know, maybe he kind of laughs at CM Punk coming back and choking out Samoa, getting choked out by Samoa Joe and playing off the history there, because of course it did look like they were building to a match at Full Gear last year when MJF returned at All Out and kind of confronted CM Punk after he won the belt, and then of course the whole brawl out stuff happened and CM Punk got injured and all that stuff, which of course didn't lead to that, but MJF still did end up winning the World Championship. So maybe they want to pick things back up there. This could be a good way of hinting at that and slowly teasing it. I don't really know what else I'd do with MJF here. I said maybe you can have someone like Hiroshi Tanahashi come out. Again, no surprise. Oh my, Tanahashi's here on Collision. I feel like we could get a few surprises like that, and I feel like Tanahashi would be a good one, and it makes sense for him to interrupt Max because of what Max has been saying about New Japan. You know, in the press conference he called it an indie fed and all this. So I feel like having the ace of New Japan coming out to confront Max to defend New Japan's honor could be something good you can do there, and a good story you can tell going into Forbidden Door. You know, Max talking down on New Japan, the ace rising up to try and defend his company. So yeah, I just gone with that. Maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler for my Forbidden Door fantasy booking. But yeah, like it's kind of one of those weird things where I don't really know what else to do there, and I don't really know what else to do against Max. So other than I like the story of the like the ace trying to defend the honor against the guy who's burying the company in a way. But do you want to have MJF go out there in a promo segment with Tanahashi? You know, considering Tanahashi English isn't his first language, so would you want someone like MJF turning into him? I don't really know. It's like that's kind of a hard thing to book for MJF feud going into Forbidden Door, and you know, will he even be on the show? Because you know he has been saying I don't want to work for Forbidden Door and all this, but like again, I feel like that could play into a story, and that's why I've gone for that. Then I'd have Kris Statlander defending her newly won TBS Championship against Nyla Rose. No other reason other than, you know, I'd want to get Statlander, you know, she just won the belt. I would like to see her defend the belt on this show. And Nyla, I think, will be a good opponent. You know, yeah, so Kris just came back and won a big defense on the first episode. I've already kind of covered that. I feel like Nyla would be, again, someone like Scorpio Sky, who you could just put in a title match and have her lose without it really harming her. Of course, she is a former AEW Women's Champion, so again, you can build her up as a threat. I know she did kind of recently feud with Jade over the TBS Championship, and, you know, where she took the belt for a bit. But, you know, this isn't Jade, it's Statlander. It's new, it's fresh. And I think Statlander and Nyla would put on an awesome match that I would like to see, and it could be a good match to put out there on Collision. Then I'd have a segment where we go backstage to the trainer's room with Renee Paquette for an update on CM Punk. You know, maybe you can have FDR there checking up on their friend. And Punk basically tells Renee that Joe made the biggest mistake of his career. And he goes, yes, I never beat Samoa Joe before, but he's just made a big mistake. He's pissed me off. He came to Chicago. He ruined my homecoming. And he ruined my return to AEW. And he choked me out in front of my friends and in front of my family. So if Samoa Joe wants to see why they call me the best in the world, how about I do it? And maybe I take that Ring of Honor TV championship from him. And yeah, that's how, kind of setting up that Samoa Joe CM Punk match. House of Black, then I'd have defend the Trios Championship in a House Rules match against former Trios champions, Death Triangle. Again, House of Black are on the poster, and I feel like putting them in a big Trios title match here could be a good way. And who better than former champions, Death Triangle? I feel like that would be an awesome matchup. Like, if you're watching this, are you telling me you want to see House of Black versus Death Triangle? And yes, this could be a match that you could feature on a pay-per-view, but is it going to happen at Forbidden Door? No. Is it going to happen at All In? I'm going to say no, because I can see them wanting to do something bigger with Pac there. Maybe you could do it at All Out then, like, week after, but why not just do it here at Collision and have a big featured match on your debut episode? And then you could always run it back at like Full Gear in November or later down the line. Of course, I'd have House of Black getting the win here and retaining the championships over Death Triangle. But yeah, that's like, it's here just for an awesome match. I'd also do a Powerhouse Hob pre-tape, kind of similar to what they did with the Book of Hob stuff. And I'd basically have him say, it's, this new show is here, it's a new opportunity, and, maybe with new opportunities, it's time for some things to change. Which, is just, the whole point of this is just to kind of separate him from the QTV stuff. So I'd have basically say new opportunity, a chance to do something new, and it's time to refocus on himself. Basically moving them away from the QTV stuff. And I do like the QTV stuff. I think it has been good. It hasn't really helped Hobbs, and having Hobbs and that doesn't really help QTV. I still keep the QTV stuff. I just have Hobbs go do his own thing and have QTV do their own thing. I don't think it's really helped Hobbs. I don't think having Hobbs in the groups really helped QTV. So yeah, I just kind of split him this way, and that way you can have Hobbs go off and do his thing and keep QTV doing their thing. And yeah, this is just kind of a way I would get to that. Thunder Rosa, then I'd have her in her return match. I don't know if she's cleared, but again, we've seen her on Dynamite when she went into Tony Khan's office. We've seen her on the posters and the advertisements for Collision. So I feel like she could be good to go. And I'd have her get a win here over Emi Sakura. Again, no other reason than I love Emi Sakura. I want to see her get featured more. I think Sakura is a great wrestler, and I'd love to see her on TV more. I'm a big Emi Sakura fan, and I want to see her get featured a bit more, and hopefully with this new show she can get more TV time. And yeah, of course, Thunder Rosa coming back from injury, I'd give her the win. Emi doesn't, she's a legend, she doesn't really need to get the win here, and both women can put on a great match, and yeah, so that is something I'd like to see. And yeah, I've gone for 6 matches, because I was looking at Dynamite cards. They're normally about 5 to 6. So I feel like 6 match card on a 2-hour show, TV show, it'd be like I kind of had a brain fart there, but yeah, 6 match card on a 2-hour show, I feel like is kind of around the normal length of a Dynamite. Like, it's normally about 5 to 6, so I've won for 6. Then I'd have Renee catch up with Samoa Joe as he's leaving, basically ask him to explain his actions and tell him about CM Punk making the challenge, and Joe just basically accepts and leaves. Main event, I'd have FTR defend the tag team titles in a rematch against Jared and Lethal. Again, FTR are kind of on the posters for this Collision announcement, so I wanted to throw them in here. And you can build to this by having Jared and Lethal kind of complained that they were screwed at Double or Nothing because Mark Briscoe put his hands on Jeff Jarrett. He slapped Jeff Jarrett, which is what caused Jarrett to fall back into the shouting machine, and that's how you get to this. And I have a reason for doing this rematch. Maybe you would want to see something fresh, something new that we didn't just see at the pay-per-view. But why I go for this rematch will make a lot more sense in a minute. So yeah, like you'd have the Mark slap being the reason why Jared and Lethal feel like they were robbed and get a rematch. During the match, everyone's kind of down at one point, and out comes Samoa Joe, who puts in the coquina clutch on like a member of TR. It doesn't really matter whether it's Dash or Dax or Cash, but yeah, just let's say Dax. He puts Dax in the coquina clutch. Jared and Lethal are beating down on Dash on the outside. And this is Samoa Joe sending a message to CM Punk, because FTR were in the trainer's room checking on him. He's close with FTR. We all know this. So that's kind of why he does this. And of course, Samoa Joe has history with Lethal and Sanjay and Jared, and the whole Team TNA things. He's from TNA. He would fit in right there. So that is why I went for that rematch. But I wouldn't have Joe join him. I wouldn't have Joe be like official member. It's just, common enemy type thing. Where they, we have a history together, we'll work together, but I'm not part of this group. So yeah, this leads to, CM Punk coming out to make the save and kind of running off Joe, Jared and Lethal, which will set up a 6-man tag for the second episode of Collision that you can do next week. It also sets up that Joe and Punk match if you don't want to just waste that and do it cold and just have it on the first Dynamite or first Collision. You have a build to it. So yeah, that is why I've gone for that. Jared Lethal, Samoa Joe versus FTR and Punk. It sounds like a fun trios match to me as well. And you have history there. You have the history with Joe being in TNA, so he fits with Sanjay, Lethal, and Jared. You have the history between Punk and FTR. Of course, they've teamed together in AEW. We all know they're friends. You also, with what we started earlier in the night with the Joe and Punk stuff, you play into here because you play into here, and of course you play into the history between FTR, Jared, and Lethal, and their feud for the tag titles and stuff. So I feel like it all makes sense and it all intertwines to make sense and tell a bigger story. And yeah, you'd have CM Punk and FTR standing tall side by side to end your first episode of Collision, and to end, here in Chicago, get the good reaction of Punk standing tall at the end of the show, even though he got choked out at the beginning. So yeah, that is kind of what I would like to see. It's kind of how, if I was Tony Khan, how I would book AEW Collision. I kind of feel like I've explained why I would do the stuff I would do and how it makes sense in a way. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. If my show was actually, my fantasy booking was actually Collision, do you think it would have been a good show? Or what would you do? What would you change? How would you fantasy book AEW Collision? Let me know in the comment section below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more of these fantasy booking videos because I do enjoy doing them. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.